Item number SCP-001. Object class Safe. Previously Keter. Special containment procedures. Following the recent investigations of Dr. Robert Montauk, no action is currently needed to contain SCP-001. It is functionally self-containing, and any Foundation interference may harm or alter its containment irreversibly. No Foundation personnel are to engage with any new matters related to SCP-001, with the exception of related anomalies already in Foundation containment. Description: SCP-001 is an entity ordinarily referred to as the Scarlet King. SCP-001 is currently located in several alternate dimensions simultaneously and is unable to enter into the Prime Dimension. However, it is believed to have been repeatedly attempting entry for a period of several thousand under 300 years. SCP-001's physical, mental, and conceptual properties are unknown to the Foundation. Nevertheless, it continues to assert a strong influence on a number of individuals and events within the Prime Dimension. It is believed that SCP-001's existence represents an ongoing but dormant Tashkent-class cross-pollination scenario. Should SCP-001 enter the Prime Timeline, an irreparable alteration to normalcy will occur. Containment of SCP-001 is, however, unnecessary, previously a top priority. Any attempt to alter SCP-001's classification or object class will result in immediate dismissal from the O5 Council. References in art and oral tradition to SCP-001 appear across a wide variety of human and non-human cultures across the universe, including in communities which have never previously had any contact with one another. Common descriptions within these traditions are of a red creature of immense size, ordinarily wearing a golden crown or other addresses signifying royalty. Although the names ascribed to SCP-001 vary, the majority contain two elements: a word signifying some form of royalty combined with a word signifying the color red. Cultures which do not have a concept of the color red, but follow this naming pattern universally, use a color analogous to the English concept of the color red. Most personnel, except those working on anomalies related to SCP-001, possess no knowledge of the entity. As part of SCP-2317's containment procedures, Level 4 personnel are to be informed that SCP-2317 is, in fact, SCP-001. The truth of this is unknown, although it is a hypothesis which has received strong support among several members of the Council. The apparently multidimensional nature of SCP-001, however, renders the possibility of SCP-2317 being anything more than a single aspect of SCP-001 unlikely. It is unknown when SCP-001 was discovered. The loss of several archives concerning the Foundation's origins in the 1889 snuggling coup has prevented a full reconstruction of events, although an investigation shortly following a variety of groups dedicated to bringing SCP-001 into the Prime Dimension have existed over the years. The most recent of these has been the Children of the Scarlet King, which was destroyed in a joint GOC-SCP operation in January 2018. Its former leader, Deepesh Spivak, is currently in Foundation custody under the designation Person of Interest 3172. Update 1 June 2018. SCP-001 has recently been the subject of an extensive investigation by Dr. Robert Montauk, project lead on SCP-001, SCP-231, and SCP-2317, and deviser of Procedure 110 Montauk. Based on the results of the investigation, SCP-001 has been downgraded to safe following a decision taken by the O5 Council. Upon the request of the former O5-13, a number of documents related to this investigation can be found below in order to provide context and further information pertaining to this theory. These have been curated and categorized and included by the former O5-13 herself with the permission of O5-1 in order to provide some context to this re-evaluation. Phase 1. Blood. Document 1. The following is an interview between Dr. Robert Montauk and POE 3172. Date 1st April 2018. Interviewer Dr. Robert Montauk. Interviewee POI 3172. Location Site 713. Interview Room 2. Begin log. Again, Dr. Montauk. I don't understand what you people want from me. Hello to you too, Deepesh. I'm sorry to do this to you again. I think it's silly too, to be honest. What we want from you are answers. It's been, what, weeks? Months? You've dragged me down here into one of your interview rooms and asked me these endless questions, you or one of your lackeys. I'm sorry you've been made to feel uncomfortable. It wasn't my intention, but it's hard to keep tabs on everything anymore. Have the guards been treating you badly in any way? No, not really. I can't really complain. It's just their eyes. They look so dead, so cold. If you'd like, I can rearrange some personnel and put someone else on your security detail We're a bit short-staffed around here at the moment, and a lot of our best folks are away. And then there's the paperwork and the endless oversight. There's been some trouble over with... Well, you don't need to know about that. You weren't what I expected, you know? You thought the Foundation would be different. No, I thought you would be. You'd heard of me. Of what you've done, Procedure 110 Montauk. Well, the people in my circles have done some dark things in their time, but that... I merely did what was necessary, Mr. Spivak. As a Foundation researcher, and as someone who doesn't want to see his loved ones die. Yes, that's very like the Foundation, isn't it? Everything done is justified by what is necessary. You see the ward, the people moving through it, living lives touched only by totalizing universal laws of society and physics. And everything has to be channeled through those laws. And that which lies outside, it is to be contained. It's all so very simple. You wouldn't say that if you worked here. Some of us called you evil, but I don't think that's quite it. That is kind of used to say, and to tell you the truth, I don't think you were quite what I expected either, especially given your reputation. I've been told I am a hard person to get along with. Too cryptic, they say. One person even called me airy. I don't think I'd call you airy. Your head may be in the clouds, but you seem to be maddeningly smug about it. Granted, not as smug as some of the delusional cultists who have passed through here. I suppose I should be thankful for that, at least. I'll try not to take this as an insult. But this is what I don't understand. Your procedure, 110 Montauk, it's not. I can't discuss that, I'm afraid. We must get on. Time and tide and all that rubbish. Please, tell me what the children of the Scarlet King's overall intention was. The children are dead. There's not much left to tell you. I would like to hear things in your own words. Then I suppose you could say that our intention was to save the world. And how were you planning to go about doing that? By bringing the Scarlet King into this reality, of course. You know this already. But how would that save the world? Doctor, is this really necessary? You took away his daughters years ago, and ended up killing most of them. You have already annihilated our society, and I'm sure you know all about what went on within it. We worshipped the king, pretending it was Satan or some other ancient god of evil. Our inner circle believed in violation as the ultimate holy act. We failed. You and the book burners destroyed us, and the matter has been put to rest. You seem awfully calm while describing the destruction of your life's work. What else can I do? I know how this is going to play out. Maybe I always did. Why do you refer to the Global Occult Coalition as the Book Burners? Were you and your group affiliated with the Serpent's Hand? That's... it's complicated. It's a simple enough question. But there isn't a simple answer. Still, yes, we were affiliated with the Serpent's Hand. Most of us passed through there at one time or another. They will disavow us, of course, if you ask them about us. They're not monsters like we are. They have moral precepts, you see. Their whole point is to look for wonder, and since they see no wonder in the king, they repudiate us utterly. But they know, deep down, that they need us. They need you. What for? For the same reason they let us leave. We raided the library, fought them, skirmished with them. They had a huge quantity of dirt on us, far more than you do. But they never finished the job. They are as bad as you jailers, in their own way, the same compartmentalization, the same singular goals. The existence is based in nothing concrete. The empty time of history, that's all. Indeed, they came into being at the same time as you. You're more similar than you realize. That's impossible. The Serpent's Hand has been documented as existing long before the Foundation in an incarnate... No. You missed the point. The library has always been there, yes, but not to the Hand. The Hand was something new, like you all are. You think anybody ever cared about wonder in the old days? Nobody cared about wonder. They cared about food, family, and blood. What's that supposed to mean? It means... you wouldn't get it anyway. But the Hand would. I think even the book burners do, in their own way. But the Hand is scared. They try to blot us out, forget us. We're what they should be, but never can be, you see. Look, Depeche, I have tried to make things more comfortable for you, but we need some give and take. You're speaking in cliched, cryptic riddles, and I want some answers. I can't tell you everything. You wouldn't treat the information properly. You treat it as a scientific fact, something to be swallowed, understood, contextualized. And what is wrong with that? Why are you doing this, Doctor? Why are you dredging this stuff up again? I shouldn't tell you, but... screw it. I'm tired of this. I've been working on SCP-001 for 2 decades. Project lead for almost 9 years after I came up with the procedure. I don't know. I'm tired. Everywhere I turn, I see the Scarlet King, but nothing about him makes any sense. Some big horned devil, arcane blood god. It's all so small, so obvious. The Foundation has changed in the last decade, you see. We faced conceptual demons, malevolent genre dwellers, sevenfold destroyers, all which are far worse than some old sacrifice deity. But there, behind everything, I see this smile in fire. That dread, that old dread. It lingers. And this is, despite seeing horrors far less easy and far more subtle, trying to break the world on a daily basis. I just want to understand, I suppose. Peel back the layers, the tales upon contradictory tales, and find out who he really is. You're being awfully candid. To be honest, I've stopped caring. This job gets to you. The things you have to do, the regrets. Well, I'm too high up for anybody to touch me now, and I've run into too many dead ends to get hung up over protocol by this point. Just tell me something, Deepesh. Anything. Okay, look. I like you, Montauk. You must be a cold-blooded bastard somewhere in there. Or you wouldn't have come up with, well, who am I to judge, huh? I'll tell you where to start. I'm all ears. There are 3 things to understand about the Scarlet King. 3 laws which, when put together, make up a complete picture. 1 is the law of blood. 1 is the law of concrete. And 1 is the law of howling. 3 laws, huh? That the king set down for his followers, or that were imposed upon him. Both. The first was his law. The second was somebody else's. And as for the third, well, you'll have to find about the third when you've cracked the first 2. Very cryptic. That's all I can tell you for now. You need to learn in the proper way. That's really all you'll give. That's all. There is a pause for several seconds. All right, Deepesh. Good talking with you, as ever. End log. Document 2. The following is an extract from the memoirs of one Jack Hertz, a defector from the Children of the Scarlet King. Hearst was a high-level reality bender, capable of entering the bodies of humans in the past and experiencing their thoughts and emotions firsthand. Following is a description of what Hearst called the Battle of Gemellet, purportedly a battle between SCP-001 and its followers against a group called the Children of the Urns. Hearst apparently experienced the battle from the perspective of a foot soldier in SCP-001's army. These memoirs were written shortly after Hearst's death in 1976. They were among the first documents consulted by Dr. Montauk during his investigation. The fortress was monumental, made of volcanic rock and jagged iron, and built into a vast mountain. Every measurement, every angle was calculated to promote the king's ideology. The steel slats and bars may have seemed to be jutting out in random half-sawn directions, but if you could see the whole, then you'd see the symmetry. It was a perfect expression of cosmic order, expressed in endless sevens. It's a tough trip to remember, but bits and pieces come back. We were slaves, I think. We had been taken from a far-off land. The nobility looked down upon us with cruel eyes, but the king didn't care. He rewarded us, and so we were the instruments of his rule. When a village required the justice of the king, we would descend upon them with blood and iron. The villagers feared us, and that felt right to me. But when the horde came, with fire and burning and their cries of freedom, the villagers were still just as scared as they had been of us. That was not the fear of their master, I think, but the fear of anarchy. They didn't know which way to turn. In the end, most betrayed us. Many had their daughters taken by our master. Old rights, blood rights, arcane rights. But we stood up upon the battlements, loyal to the last, our hearts bursting with happiness at the rightness of it all. I'm not sure exactly what was going on. It was also chaotic and full of red smoke, but I could feel my host's bloodlust. We stood and watched and waited. The sound of rubble and explosions came from across the hill, and the last battle began. Then something strange happened. My host suddenly felt afraid, and he and I were somewhere else. The sky was not red, but black. I was not a slave, but part of a conscripted rabble. The peasant looked up at us. They were all starving. They held out their hands, begging, pleading, praying. The wind was their master, and he screamed at them. The horde was coming, but they too were starving. Then the scene flickered back, and I was in my host again, under a scarlet sky. The king's voice raged. The rubble of his armies were fleeing to the gates, but they would not open. Our arrows, coated in flame and pitch, flew back again, but the horde was undaunted. In my mind, I could see nothing but the fire of the king. I drew my sword. We all drew our swords. We all charged into the fray. And then, as it were, the scene changed again. There were no battlements, only the dark sky and the wind and a more rugged and lonely sky. The peasants pleaded, the nomads laughed, cheered, wept. The wind will rage no more, they said. The two scenes shifted in and out. A red fort bled into a black field. I have ruminated on it a long time, but I think they were the same battle, seen through two different eyes, or at least the memories of two different battles. The whole thing felt strange. It was not like most of my trips. It was like a half-remembered cacophony, two ideas ripping at each other. There was a timeline showing what really happened in that blackened wasteland, and there was one that had been made to be true, imposed throughout time on the truth. The last thing I remember was being sliced by a nomad sword, of a frail urn being held high, of 7 brides being ripped from a castle, or were they ripped from a field, taken as the spoils of war by some obscure tribe in some lost steppe. I remember the king screaming, writhing, thrashing as he was sealed. And then I died and woke up back at the ritual. For a second I wondered if the others had just made up the king and sent some image of him back to the past. But I don't think that was true. They lacked the power. And besides, it was never a total lie. There was something in the wicked wind that reminded me of the older rituals. It was then that I decided to leave the children. I went that night, without a word. They didn't stop me. Probably figured it wasn't worth the effort. They were so certain in the success of their mission, but I wanted no part in that anymore. The things I saw were based upon the law of blood, and I can only pray that they never come to pass. Document 3. The following is a log of all known attempts by anomalous groups to force SCP SCP-001's entry into the prime dimension since the containment of SCP-231. Date: 1st of April 2018. Group of Interest: Provisional Children of the Scarlet King. Details of attempt: Summoning attempt was performed by the ritual smearing of blood and then the destruction of rubble recovered from the demolition of the Cochrane Gardens housing project complex in St. Louis, Missouri. It is believed that the children of the Scarlet King manipulated the state officials into the demolition over the course of several years, and that this splinter group continued their work as the original children went into decline. Result: attempt prevented by a Foundation raid. Date: 12th of May 2012. Group of Interest: Red Guards. Details of attempt: appeared to be using the blood, bones, and spinal fluid of several animals, combined with ritual chanting, to create a portal to SCP-001. A large number of SCP Foundation logos carved out of bone were placed around the ritual site in a defensive position. These logos were slightly incorrectly carved. Results: attempt not detected by any GOL and came extremely close to success. However, it appears a critical mistake in the words of ritual instead resulted in a large explosive blast, destroying all of the assembled members of the guards. It remains unknown why the guards apparently wished to invoke Foundation protection for their ceremony. Date: 2nd of July 2014. Group of Interest: Global Occult Coalition. Details of attempt: unknown. Result: unknown, but did not succeeded. GOC records pertaining to the incident are missing, with the name Operation Historical Frontier, with the mission statement to exacerbate tensions of historical time in order to bring forth and destroy a significant occult threat. It is believed that several OOC operatives were killed in the attempt. Date: 1st September 2017. Group of Interest: Army of the New Dawn. Details of attempt: attempt involved the ritual burning of several calendars adhering to the Gregorian calendar, while members of the group raised up blood-soaked calendars adhering to the Julian, Hijri, and Persian solar systems to an effigy of SCP-001. Result: attempt prevented by members of the Serpent's Hand. All materials were recovered and taken to the Wanderer's Library. Date: 17th of September 2017. Group of interest, the Serpent's Hand. Details of attempt, largely unknown. Details are unclear, but it is believed it involved the highly selective destruction of particular books within the Wanderer's library. Result: attempt was purportedly foiled due to the schism in the group. The resulting casualties severely damaged the library.